Hello, I'm going to talk to you about UCAS and more specifically how to write a UCAS personal statement. So firstly, what is UCAS? UCAS is the Universities and Colleges Admission Service, and essentially it's the system through which students will apply to university. It is the only way that students can apply to university, and both students and teachers send personal statements and subject references and predicted grades, and this is what the universities use to decide whether they offer them a place. So if you think about it, the three systems sort of work together as one. You have the personal statement from the student, which is where they say why they want to study the course, what they have done, and then you have the subject reference from the tutor, which is made up of reports from all of their teachers, and then a general tutor statement talking about the things that they have done outside of the classroom. And then you have their predicted grades, and the university will receive all three of these at the same time. Now, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the structure of the personal statement so that you know how to support your son or daughter at home. The basic structure is an opening paragraph. They then talk about the ideas that they are interested in within the subject, and then they have a little bit of time talking about work experience or extracurricular, but only if it feels relevant, and then the final line will communicate their interest in the course. And this is the structure that your son or daughter will have received and will be working towards. So let's actually take a look at each section individually. Now, first of all, you have the opening statement. And the opening statement is the first thing that the university will see, and it is your chance to kind of encapsulate exactly what grips you about the subject, why you want to study it, and to give them a little flavour about why it's important to you. So if we have a look at this example, this student is applying for engineering, and in that first line we've got, engineering to me is the application and integration of physics and maths to improve people's lives, and this is appealing to me. Now straight away we've got a really personal opening line. And what's quite nice is that they've shown that they completely understand the subject. It's about that incorporation of physics and maths. He then goes on to say, after shadowing a civil engineering consultant who works at the new HS2 at Mott MacDonald, I was drawn to the engineering profession. I realise its benefits and improves people's quality of life. So what's great here is that straight away in that opening, because this student is aware that engineering is a vocational course, they've spoken about their work experience. So they've shown that that was the moment that dawned on them that they wanted to do this further. So this is a really nice opening statement, and it really kind of encapsulates this student's specific interest. They worked on HS2, they worked in civil engineering, and they later go on to talk about what they did. They said, I used my problem solving skills, my understanding of tensile and compressive forces and geometry to complete a truss analysis, which enabled me to find a solution. So that's a really nice way of doing an opening statement. Now, every single opening statement will be different, and there's not one right way of doing it, but what I would say is to not encourage your child to start with a quote. It's much better to use their own words rather than somebody else's, and to actually get straight into why that subject is important to them. Now, this bit can be a little bit more tricky because it's not something that students are used to doing. But I would say that 80% of the statement should be them talking about the subject and why they are interested in it. So we're just going to have a look at a section of another statement. Now, I will say that all of these statements are from Stack students, but obviously this isn't one personal statement. Now, this is a person that was looking at economics, global development, and actually went on to Cambridge to read land economy. And they do quite an interesting approach to getting into their subject. So, as a child from parents who grew up in a low-income country, I have been exposed to the lengthy developmental process of Ghana. For example, it is largely unchanged from 10 years ago, with only a few new developments such as a new shopping centre and hotels. It dawned on me that these developments were barely going back into the pockets of the Ghanaian citizens, but rather foreign direct investors. This led me to further research into the development of Africa. And this is really interesting because they're doing a key thing here, which is they talk about their area of interest, their interest in the developmental process of Ghana, but then they talk about what they did about that interest. And this is what is key for the personal statement, is being able to show the university that you don't just sit there in class and listen to what the teacher's saying and think, oh, that's interesting, and leave. You need to be able to demonstrate what you did about it, to show that you are independent, that you are inquisitive, and that you are someone who is genuinely interested in the subject. So one thing that you would want to look out for in your child's personal statement is, what are they saying they did about that interest? And this is a handy sentence. This led me to further research. And then this student goes on to talk about the reading they did. And then here they talk about this really important line here, I feel that. So they show their response to the reading. So this is a really, really nice way of getting in that kind of wider reading, but also showing that you go beyond your course. Now, obviously we understand that students undertake work experience, and sometimes it's relevant to what they're applying for, and other times it's not as relevant. But this is quite a nice example here of how somebody has incorporated their work experience into their statement. So during my work experience, I shadowed and worked with researchers in the Imperial College Material Science Department. Now this student is actually ended up applying for chemistry, but they managed to talk about their experiences at Imperial College because they actually picked apart what they had learnt. So I used various spectroscopic techniques such as X-ray, photoelectron spectroscopy and atomic force microscopy. These techniques allowed us to analyse surfaces in such detail that we could not only identify the atoms present and their abundance, but also determine the cause of why certain molecules interacted a certain way on a material surface. So they actually talk in a lot of detail about what they picked up. And what a lot of students tend to do is talk generally. They say, oh, I picked up communication skills, or I got to see a lot of different departments. But what this person has done is really broken down exactly what they did there. And as they're applying for a science degree, they've already shown whoever is reading their statement that they are comfortable in a lab, which is what a large bulk of their degree would be. Now this bit's always a little bit tricky, is talking about their extracurricular and their hobbies. A lot of people think, oh, I need to link it to exactly what I'm applying to. But this is the one time in the personal statement where a student is able to show their personality really. And it doesn't always have to link to what you're applying for. So this person was applying for psychology. And at the end of her statement, she just speaks a little bit about what she's actually interested in. And I chose this one because it's not somebody who has lots and lots of hobbies, they're not on lots of sports teams, but they're able to talk really genuinely about the things they're interested in. So she says, outside of this, I'm interested in photography and radio and podcasts. I enjoy mostly being in front of the camera as well as behind it in my spare time. My favourite podcast is called Receipts, created by young girls who essentially sit and discuss their love and work life. My night with Foundation FM Summer School furthered my interest in these, allowing me to not only partake in a photo shoot, but create my own radio show. So again, we've got someone here who's just talking very genuinely about what they enjoy. And it is really important for the personal statement to show a little bit of your personality too. So don't worry if your child hasn't done every sports team under the sun, or maybe they're applying for a politics degree, but they don't do anything to do with politics in their spare time. If they want to talk about their interest in frisbee, now is the time. Now, I'm just going to talk briefly about the last line. Now, this is the closing statement, and I always think that it should link back to the opening, and it is your final time to kind of sell to the university why you want to be doing this, and so it should kind of come back to things. And I like to see it as a nice time to talk about your future plans and what your son or daughter might be doing with their degree. So let's have a look at this one. Seeing theoretical economics come into fruition in practice opened my eyes to how powerful economics can be. Studying it as a joint entity alongside politics and history will maximise my potential as a learner. This will further develop my capacity as a learner and enable me to tackle perplexing questions such as what factors are key to establishing political and economic stability. And I think that's a really nice way to end it, because it's really obvious to whoever is reading this statement that this person is genuinely excited about studying economics, and also that they've got big plans for this degree. They want to keep asking questions, they want to keep finding solutions, they want to be challenged. And they could have gone on to say what they want to do after university with this, if they know that that's what they want to do. But a powerful last line can work really well to finish off a well-written statement. So hopefully this has been helpful. There's lots of examples here, and feel free to pause the video and have a look at things in your own time. The most important thing you can do to support your child with their personal statement is just to be patient and to keep proofreading it and rereading it. They're likely to do lots and lots of drafts, and patience is key. And then at the end, when they start to send off their personal statement and their university application, and they start to get their offers in, they'll really see the fruits of their hard work. I hope this is helpful, and please continue to get in touch with the sixth form team if you have any further questions about the personal statement.